service members who discovered your partner cheated while you were deployed. How did you find out? I'm a 23-year-old guy, and my girlfriend, a 19-year-old, cheated on me with 5 other guys during a 3-month deployment. I found out and initially forgave her. Then I discovered that she had saved their photos and phone numbers in her private photos on Snapchat. I also found out that she had been texting them on a second cell phone. She told one of these airmen that she wanted him to meet her mother, and that she loved him, all while begging me to marry her. I ended up leaving her, but now I'm having some doubts. I decided to re-enlist and move out of the country for a couple of years to avoid the chaos she brings. After the breakup, she showed up at my house and work, over 300 miles away, on multiple occasions. She now calls and texts me non-stop. I made the poor choice of checking her Snap Maps, and she spends every night on the Air Force Base, which leads me to believe she is still with him. I now live 4,000 miles away but still feel trapped and, quite honestly, ruined by this woman. I need some advice because it's not exactly okay to talk about your feelings with my current group of friends, also Army guys. I go out for drinks often and get hit on regularly, but it makes me sick to my stomach to even think about dating again, and my fellow soldiers are starting to ask questions. I don't really know how to handle this. I changed my phone number, but I'm pretty sure my sister gave her the new one. I'm not a bad-looking guy either. I'm 5'11" and weigh 165 pounds. I'm regularly told that I'm handsome, but I can't shake this feeling of worthlessness. Story 2. I came back from my deployment only to find my wife with another man on my bed. You know, being in love is probably one of the most beautiful things in life, but it's also one of the most dangerous. Life is full of risk. I know that. I joined the Marines as a private, and now I am a corporal. I worked hard to get here, and I want to stay a Marine for the rest of my life. Or at least I thought I did. I married my wife 3 years ago. When I married her, I was so in love. Everything she did made me smile. The way she looked at me, how she smiled, her laugh, the way she played with her hair. I loved it all. Now, I don't even know if I love this woman anymore. I was deployed for 8 months. While I was at the base, my fellow Marines would tell me that women only marry soldiers for benefits, healthcare, education, vacations, all of it. They said that wives get lonely when we're deployed and might bring someone home while we're away. I didn't listen to any of it at the time. Not all women are like that, right? But now, I'm not so sure. It's not my place to say every woman is like that, but I feel lost. When I flew home, I had to take a 12-hour flight. I wanted to see my family so badly. A wife, and a beautiful little princess. Being away from my baby felt like getting punched in the stomach a billion times until I could see her again. Although I was away, I chatted with her all the time. I went inside thinking they were home, but no one was there. I sat down waiting for them. I called my wife, but she didn't pick up. No text, nothing. I went to the kitchen and started hearing some thumps coming from the basement. When I opened the door, I heard a man moaning. I headed down quietly. It helped that we have very soft, furry-like carpet. And then, I caught my wife red-handed with someone I graduated high school with. We weren't best friends or anything, but we did know each other. I couldn't believe it. I don't play that kind of crap. I jumped on the bed and hit him. Not brutally like some guys do, but enough to give him a black eye and a busted lip. He knew she was my wife and that I was away. My wife was screaming for me not to hit him and saying she was sorry. Since that moment, my home felt like being at base. It became nothing but ruined memories. My brothers were right about marriage, about my wife. Never again will I trust her. If I divorce, I want to stay a Marine, which means it would be a waste of time to marry again. Yes, we are still married. This happened not too long ago. I regret staying with her every day. Now, when I look at her, if she smiles at me, I just look away. When she hugs me, I focus on something else, putting only one arm around her. When she tries to kiss me, I turn my head. Our favorite thing used to be trying foods we'd never eaten before. We would travel to other states just to eat at the highest-rated restaurants. We haven't done that since before the day I left for Asia. I'm just not in love anymore. When I bring up divorce, she jumps on me, saying she's so sorry, showing fake tears, claiming she will never do it again and that she loves me. She confessed to sleeping with him 3 times. I know I'm all over the place, but so, While I was away the entire time, she only slept with him 3 times? Yeah, okay. I'll be honest. I probably deserve a nomination for being the most distant husband. She cries to me, saying she misses me and that what she did was a mistake. She says she'll do anything to make us the same as before. We don't argue, but we are more distant than enemies. She constantly suggests that we see a counselor. All they're going to do is tell us to make up. Anything that involves touching her or making eye contact for more than 1 second. I'm not doing it. That's why I'm not going. I wasn't worried about my daughter. She looks so much like me. She has my ears, eye color, and blonde hair. I don't need a DNA test. Even if she weren't mine, she's my life. I would never leave her. She's the reason I haven't divorced and ended my marriage. One of my brothers at the base didn't rub it in my face. I remember the others saying, when you go home and find your wife on your bed with someone else, we're going to say we told you so. But he didn't say that. He said, I'm ruining my life with the wrong person. He said, if I don't divorce, I will be miserable when I could find someone great. Yeah, sure. I just want to go back home, but because of this pandemic, it won't happen. I wish everyone a blessing and remind you to stay inside safely. Story 3. I'm 25 and my wife is 22. We've been together since 2019 and had our son in 2020. A little backstory. In January of 2022, I went on a 10-month deployment to Europe. I thought it would be a fun idea to surprise her and our son when I got home, so I told her I wouldn't be back until about mid-November, but I was actually coming home 2 days before Halloween. That surprise didn't happen. Different story. Earlier last week, I was doing my wife a favor by grabbing her work stuff out of her car. It was late and I was still dressed, so I agreed to do it for her. While I was grabbing all of her things, I stumbled across an appointment slip for Planned Parenthood from back in September. I had been gone since early January, so I snapped a picture of the appointment slip to make sure I wasn't imagining things. When I brought her stuff in, I asked her if she had gone to Planned Parenthood last year, and she told me no. I then took the appointment slip out of my pocket and asked, well, then what's this all about? She grabbed the paper and said, oh, yeah, I went in to see if I still had state insurance. I asked why she didn't just call her insurance company, and then she switched her story to say she went to get back on birth control, even though she had told me multiple times that she'd never get back on it because it affected her weight loss, messed up her hormones, and made her period irregular. I ended up leaving it at that. The next morning, the appointment slip was gone, and I haven't confronted her about it again. Story 4. I deployed to the Middle East back in 2017 for 9 months. There were a few of us, 4, who had the occupational specialty required for the position. 2 of the 4 could not deploy because of legal and disciplinary issues. I knew the other qualified person well, and since he was going through a nasty divorce, I was the only one who could deploy without complications. It was, like all deployments, a multi-layered experience. My spouse, in my view, was acting normally in the time leading up to the deployment. I have 3 children now, but before this deployment I had 2. I told her that once I arrived in country, I would contact her. Everything went as well as it could for the first 2 months. Then I was informed that I would be moved to a more hazardous location for 3.5 months. I had to take certain steps to ensure I made it back to my family. Fast forward to my return from the deployment. My family and I were reunited. My spouse and I took my 2 older kids to school, then went home, got reacquainted, and she became pregnant. The pregnancy was, in my opinion, difficult because of complications on her end and her not wanting to be touched at all. Fast forward again to when our child was 6 months old. Her best friend was getting married, and since she was the matron of honor, she had to go back to our hometown. After I settled in at home, I noticed many items she had purchased but never opened or used from Target, more than 15. While she was gone, I checked our receipt drawer with the intention of returning the items. I called her and asked about a few missing receipts, and she told me she had probably had them emailed to her, so I should check her email for them. When I checked her email looking for receipts, I saw an email from a dating site. I know about spam emails, but this one mentioned a new message. From there, I filtered her email and found more than 50 emails dated from the middle of my deployment up until about a week before I checked her tablet. When I called to ask about what I had found, she was dismissive and said she did not have time to talk about it because of her responsibilities in the wedding. It turns out she had been dating and doing whatever else she was doing while I was deployed. I also feel she was wrong for knowing what she did, acting like nothing happened, and then getting pregnant. I want to expose her and inform both of our families about what she was up to. But we have 3 kids. Advice? Thank you in advance. Story 5. I learned back in April that my wife of 5 years, a 30-year-old woman, was having an affair with a guy she worked with. We have a daughter who is 2. Together, we had built a comfortable life. Before this, we had been going through a rough patch, but I thought it was something we would work through. I am currently deployed, which makes dealing with this situation even more challenging. After getting caught, she apologized, but I did not believe her and felt she was only giving me lip service. We agreed there was no coming back from this, and honestly, I went from being madly in love with her to feeling nothing but anger whenever I hear her voice or see her. She has told me multiple times that she hates me, wants to be with the affair partner, and wants an immediate divorce. She has this man over at my house most nights of the week, and she brings him around my daughter simply to spite me, saying, "I can do what I want, and you can't control me." She also gave him the garage code so he can come and go freely from my home. She is playing the victim and genuinely seems to believe the lies she tells. Every day, I want to post everything on social media and destroy her image, especially since she has always cared about how people view her. When she went to her attorney, she drafted divorce documents stating that I would walk away from our home with only my vehicle and personal belongings. We had agreed to 50-50 custody for our daughter, but the papers said I would only have her every other weekend and would not get overnights until she turned 5. I came back and told her that I wanted 182 days with my daughter each year, and if she wanted the house, she would have to buy me out, or we would sell it. She said she would not willingly give me that much time with our daughter because she believes I do not deserve it, and she also refused to agree to any terms regarding the house. She said we would settle it in court. When I explained the financial cost and the long timeline involved, it fell on deaf ears. I do not want to waste money that could be better used for myself or my daughter, and I do not want to waste so much time. In all of this, her family is unaware of her behavior. Do you have any advice on how to persuade her to settle now, outside of court? Should I continue taking the moral high road? Should I reveal what has been happening to family, friends, and anyone else? Edit. The only reason I mentioned taking the moral high road is because she is already being difficult, and I only get to talk to my daughter once a day for maybe 15 to 30 minutes. I am worried she will make it even harder, if not impossible, for me to see or speak with my daughter. Legally, she cannot, but people break the law every day. The loan for the house is in her name because when we bought the property, her credit was slightly better than mine. However, the deed is in both of our names. We have already separated our bank accounts, so our finances are independent. I send her enough money to cover the mortgage payment since I receive BAH, along with money for utilities and support for my daughter. Everything else is being saved for the legal battle that will take place when I return. I fully intend to fight for my child tooth and nail and will not settle for anything less than 50-50 custody or 182 days a year with her. She is a federal employee with the Federal Bureau of Prisons. The affair partner was also an employee there but has since quit and is now in the police academy. I learned about the affair because the affair partner's wife tracked him to my house. Since then, I have received pictures, screenshots of messages, and videos as evidence of the affair. I also have video recordings of her admitting to it. On top of that, my neighbor across the street has been keeping watch on my house and has shared videos of the affair partner coming and going freely through my garage. Update. After finally having enough of the disrespect and being treated poorly on every front, I created a group text with her parents and explained everything that had been happening, including sharing the pictures taken by the affair partner's wife when she caught my wife and the affair partner at my house. After I sent the text to her parents, nothing. No response at all. I suppose you could say that silence is consent. Final update. I am now legally divorced, and it ended up costing nearly $20,000. I have 50-50 custody. As I type this, my daughter is fast asleep across the hall from me in her bedroom. I did not share her behavior with all of social media, but I did make it known to the people she had close personal relationships with, so they would understand the kind of wife, mother, and person she was and is. She had no problem being difficult all the way to the end. She is no longer with the original affair partner. She moved on to another man she worked with, and immediately started having him over at her place and around our daughter. She had him staying the night, and my daughter, who is 4 now, told me things like he makes coffee for mommy, and I saw him in his underwear. I confronted her about this, and of course she showed no shame or guilt. She admitted he stayed the night, but claimed our daughter was mistaken about seeing him in an inappropriate way. Sure. Fast forward another month, and my daughter told me, completely unprompted, that new boyfriend doesn't come over anymore. All of this came from her without me asking. In ways, I am still bitter about what happened and how it played out, but my mental health is better now than it has ever been, because I no longer have to walk on eggshells around her and can live as I see fit. I have taken this hardship and turned it into an opportunity. I decided to go back to school and am now pursuing my bachelor's degree. My relationship with my daughter continues to grow stronger, and I am strangely grateful, even though it was a difficult experience to fight through and endure. My future is brighter, and I now understand that this did not happen to me. It happened for me. Story 6. I've been in a rough spot in life during my husband's deployment. I've been dealing with postpartum stress, got rear-ended with my son in the car, which caused back pain and totaled my car, struggled with weight and breastfeeding. It was a lot. Now I've learned that there was even more going on and my stomach is in knots. I don't know why, but ever since my husband, 25, whom we'll call Rogan, left for South Korea from Japan, I've been feeling really disconnected from him. At first I thought he was just busy and let him do his own thing. I didn't really mind. I'd hear other wives talk about how they spoke to their husbands every day or something like that, and Rogan never really made the time to do that. Of course, I started having all these different thoughts here and there, especially with post-pregnancy hormones everywhere. I haven't been able to lose the weight like I wanted because every time I tried being more active, my milk supply plummeted. So I've been sticking to just daily walks as well as my physical therapy after the crash. I've been feeling really insecure about how I look and feel. Since I'm 40 pounds heavier than I'm used to, I just kept having this sinking feeling of, what if Rogan cheats? And it stuck with me. Lo and behold, I found out he was following this woman from Seoul in South Korea. I thought it was odd, but I wasn't too worried about it. I decided to wait to talk to him when he got back. He returned a couple of days ago, and I checked his phone just to ease my conscience. I didn't think he'd actually do anything, but I saw messages from her dating back to April. I confronted him after putting our son to sleep the night they came back and asked if anything notable had happened while they were in South Korea that he hadn't shared with me. Initially, he said no. I asked who the woman was. His face got tense, and he said she was a bartender who had been serving him and his friends free drinks. He admitted he had been flirting with her, said he was very drunk, and that he regretted it. I asked him why he didn't tell me about her and be honest with me in the first place. He said he didn't want to stress me out more than I already was with everything going on. I asked if he had done anything besides flirting, why he exchanged Instagram information with her in the first place, and why he never blocked her. I can't help but feel like he could have deleted the chat as well, and the fact that she mentioned the whole lunch thing feels strange unless they talked about it beforehand. He said he was being stupid, and that he's glad he sobered up and didn't continue talking to her. But it's the fact that it happened at all, drunk or not, that pissed me off and made me feel so worthless. I was having a full mental breakdown in my head at that point. I kept thinking it was because she's prettier, younger looking, skinnier, and not some used-up stay-at-home mom who can't lose weight or her baby won't eat. All of those thoughts just kept circling in my head. I guess I was naive to believe he wouldn't find anyone but me attractive, like I do him. I've never felt this way before. I've never been attracted to or found other people appealing. I can understand when someone is objectively attractive, but I'm not attracted to them like that. And the fact that he hid it? I don't know. I really do want to trust and believe him, but I'm having such a hard time doing so. He told me I could talk to the guys who went with him that night, so I'm probably going to do that. I've talked to one, but still have to talk to the others. I just really don't want to think he'd do something like this to us. He seemed so remorseful about making me feel so bad. He kept swearing up and down that nothing happened and that it was just drunken flirting, and he feels horrible that it even took place. He swore on our son that nothing else happened. He was so sad that night when he slept, he started crying to himself. I just want to believe him so badly, but I don't know how. It's really the act of keeping the situation hidden that bothers me the most, even if nothing else happened. The fact that he would flirt with another woman and not come clean to me about it. Learning that my gut feeling about him potentially cheating on me was right makes my stomach churn. He might not have had physical relation with her or anything, but he admitted to the flirting and potentially making plans, which is why she messaged him. He drunkenly pursued her, giving her the green light to contact him. It's just one of those hard no's for me. Even if they didn't do anything besides talk, it's a red flag that there was potential, and he took it while drunk instead of shutting her down like he should have, like many men would. Even if he's sobered up the next day, it really just sucks knowing he'd do that either way. What if he hadn't been with his buddies? What if she hadn't been working? I'm sure we'll work things out since I received confirmation that he didn't meet with her afterwards or do anything else besides flirt. I just don't know. I feel so betrayed right now, and I don't know what to do. Story 7. At the time, I was 19 and she was 20. We'll call her Kay. We started dating when I was 16 and still in high school. We spent every day together, in and out of school, and even shared some classes. A mutual friend had introduced us at a party during my freshman year, and we became friends until I finally got the courage to ask her out. Like I said, we spent almost every waking moment together up until I had to leave for boot camp at 18. While in boot camp, I tried to write to her every day, and she did the same. After 3 months, the longest we'd ever been apart since we started dating, she came to my graduation along with my family. I got to go home on leave for a week, then I went straight to job school, infantry if you're curious, and then to the fleet. Once I was there, she would come down whenever she was free from college, or I would go up to see her whenever I could. Being that my unit was in the middle of a workup for my first deployment, those opportunities were rare. Leading up to the deployment, we had almost a month to go home and see family and friends. No matter where I went or who I went to see, she came along as long as she didn't have classes. My family and hers came down to the base to see me off. We were 3 months into our 9-month deployment on a ship. We communicated through Facebook Messenger. The ship had a computer lab that we could access from time to time. One day, I went down to the lab to talk, like any other time. It had been almost a week since we had spoken when I opened Facebook and saw a long story about how she had gone to a party at another dorm room and made out with a random guy. I was, of course, livid reading it. I just closed Facebook without typing a word, but after a week, I told myself that she had only made out with him and that I could talk it out with her. I kept telling myself we were young and dumb and that it was a stupid mistake. I went down to the lab again to talk to her, and she sent me another long message apologizing. This time, I took my time reading it and responded with, "Let's try to talk it out." We spent 2 hours talking back and forth, but I still felt uneasy about it. I asked questions about who it was with, and after some convincing, she told me it was a guy from her friend group who had been hitting on her since the beginning of the school year. Hearing that, I'm pretty sure you could have seen steam coming from my ears. She hadn't said anything to me about it. She claimed it was because she didn't want me to worry, but clearly I did. Kay also explained that he had only kissed her, and that she stopped him once his hands started to wander, and that she wouldn't talk to him anymore. We didn't break up, but I only got on Facebook every now and again to let her know I was alive. I wanted to talk face to face and try to fix the relationship, because I felt like we couldn't completely resolve it until I was home. When our ship started heading back, we all had to meet with a career planner to figure out what would happen once we were stateside. I found out that I would get 3 weeks of leave once we returned, but I would have to change units and redeploy 2 months after coming back from leave. Not that uncommon. Once on leave, I got a hotel near her college, and we spent 2 to 3 weeks of my leave together, mostly talking about what had happened. She told me how alone she had felt with me being gone and her being away at college. I didn't really accept it. She knew from the very first moment we met that I was going into the military. Kay then said it wouldn't happen again, and that she hadn't spoken to or seen him since. All in all, we decided to keep working on us, and that stuff like this wouldn't happen again. Kay wanted me to meet some of her friends and go get food from the school cafeteria. We all went, and who was there waiting but the guy? Let's call him P. I knew who he was because of some searching I had done on Facebook. Kay looked at me with panic as he reached his hand out to shake mine and said his name. It took every fiber of my being not to separate his jaw from his face, but I just looked at his hand, then at him, and said no. Kay and I didn't speak about it, but she could tell I was furious that he would have the gall to act like he did, as if I didn't know. The following day, I was back on base in my new unit. Other than when I was training, we kept in constant contact, mostly her doing. I felt that it was her way of showing me she was trying. Not going to lie, it made me feel a bit better knowing where she was. It was a huge relief and helped keep my mind from wandering. Soon, I was back on a long ship ride. 2 months in, during steady communication, I was on land. In Kuwait, I tried Skyping her, but she didn't respond. I tried again with no luck, so I gave up. It was around 10 p.m. stateside, so I started talking to family. Just as I was about to get off the computer, a Skype call came through, and it was Kay. I was happy because my unit was going somewhere we wouldn't be able to talk much, if at all. I opened Skype, and she was just in her underwear. I asked her why she was calling so late, and I told her she wouldn't hear from me for some time. She started to cry, and in the background, I heard, "What's wrong, babe?" Her face went pale, and the tears stopped. She just froze as he jumped up on her bed. Now, in my view, he looked at her computer and said, "Crap." I responded with a laugh and ended the call. I didn't talk to her or try to talk to her for the rest of the deployment. Story 8. I'm a soldier deployed to Afghanistan. I've been gone for 3 months. My wife visited me at my pre-mobilization post after about a month to a month and a half. She was on the phone constantly with her friend and her friend's fiancé back home during the whole visit. I wasn't worried about it. I hardly noticed, until she started getting really protective of her phone. I don't like snooping through people's correspondence, but her newfound protectiveness inspired curiosity. While she was in the shower, I looked through her texts and found out that she had 1 or more intimate encounters with her friend, female, and her friend's fiancé, male. I didn't say anything because she had previously disclosed that the encounter was just a single drunken kiss and was an isolated incident. Also, I was really excited that she came to visit me and didn't want to ruin the rest of our short time together before I flew overseas. This morning, I confronted her about it over the phone. She hesitated but ultimately disclosed the full encounter, explaining how it escalated from casual touching to a 3-way. Previously, my wife had asked permission to engage in this sort of act with these 2 friends of hers. She also expressed interest in 4-way interactions once I returned home. I refused, explaining that I saw it as infidelity and that it would hurt our relationship. I later found out that she had been asking permission after already having engaged in the act. We have known each other for 8 years and have been married for 2. I love my wife, but she only confessed after I caught her. Her story also has some inconsistencies, making me think I still don't have the full truth. She says she is profoundly sorry and that the encounter was an isolated event. Her friend, female, realized that she is intimidated by my wife and is insecure about her own relationship because of the event. My wife and her friend allegedly agreed to have no further encounters prior to me finding out. She wants to stay married and has said numerous times that she loves me. Edit. I think it's important to point out that my wife is a career woman with a master's degree. She isn't a homemaker or dependent on me. She doesn't need my benefits or my paycheck. She comes from a wealthy family. Reddit. What do I do? Story 9. So, my wife is 21 and I'm 20. We've been married for a year and I recently left for a deployment that lasted about 8 months. We knew this was going to happen, so we planned to be strong and get through it. Everything was fine for a while. I would call and we would talk all the time about anything. Basically, the relationship was the same, just apart. About a month into the deployment, she asked me if we could talk about boundaries and said she wanted to hang out one-on-one with a male coworker. Of course, I said it was fine because I trusted her and everything seemed fine. Long story short, nothing significant happened during my deployment. But near the end, in the last month, she started acting weird. I couldn't read her, but I didn't care. I was just waiting to see her. She then told me she needed to tell me something. I asked her what it was, and she said she had fallen in love with this person and didn't know how to move forward. She said she wanted my help and that it was an emotional affair. I said, okay, how could you? And was pretty devastated, but tried to stay positive because I knew this stuff could happen, especially being apart. I didn't want to immediately lash out at her. Later, I asked if they had done it and she said no. Then, a few days later, she admitted that they had actually been physical 3 times and said they loved each other. She told me that she ended things with him before I got back. so it was roughly a 3-month affair. She expected me to leave her and said that whatever I decided, she would support it, but she wants to be with me. She wants to love me like I deserve and figure out why she did this. Since then, she has started counseling, offered to quit the job he also works at, and lets me see her phone. She does a lot of things to try to make me feel safe, and we communicate a lot. I feel pretty good when we talk. Recently, though, I told her I want some space for a little while to figure out if I'm making the right choice. I don't know. It's been 3 months since D-Day, and I'm fairly young with no kids. We got married really fast and honestly never fought about anything before this happened. I can see that I am bitter toward her sometimes, especially when I don't communicate how she made me feel. I don't want a marriage where I'm not truly happy. I guess I just want to know if this ever works out, if people ever feel the same way about their partner after something like this. Thanks. If you need more details to understand my situation, I can give them. Edit. I still feel that I love her, which is understandable, but I'm not sure what I should do. I want to try to work it out, but I don't know if it's the right thing. I'm just feeling very lost after this. I began asking about the details, and she told me everything. I drove myself mad for a little while after that. But lately, I don't think about those things as much. Instead, I just feel sad and betrayed. And I have this thought that I'm settling if I stay, but I can convince myself of just about anything at this stage. Edit. I am also attending counseling to try to understand how I feel about all of this. I guess I love her, but I don't know if I love what we had or if I can love what we now are living with and working on. Story 10. My buddy and I just got back from a 6-month deployment, and I'm trying to figure out what I should do. His wife moved to a friend's house to save money since their last apartment was too expensive, and she didn't want to renew the lease that was ending about a month after we left. That situation lasted only a couple of weeks because of fighting about money and rules in the house, so she moved in with another friend of ours and his fiancé. While we were deployed, the place had Wi-Fi, so we were able to message home on Facebook. I came to find out from both my buddy and his wife that their marriage is terrible. There's been emotional abuse on both sides. She's thrown a small box of things at his head, and he has thrown her onto a couch to calm her down. But he's also called her terrible names. I could go on for a long time, but you get the picture. Last night, while drinking, I found out that the guy with the fiancé and the wife have been hooking up for over 4 months. He told me they haven't since we got back and that he is leaving the country soon. I told him he should come clean and tell the husband, but he won't. He says he feels guilty and might be in love with the wife. Now, all 3 are my best friends, and each of them has helped me through some terrible stuff in my own life, so I'm torn about what to do. I wasn't going to say anything until I had more than hearsay from a drunk, but should I confront the husband, the wife, or the fiancé, or do anything at all? Story 11. Mine is quite the opposite. I'm 23, and I found out that my husband, 24, cheated on me overseas while I was 7 months pregnant. While he was on deployment, I kept having dreams that he was cheating on me, and I would tell him about them, jokingly asking if the universe was trying to tell me something. Every time, he would reassure me that I had nothing to worry about and that there was no woman he would ever betray me for. After about the 5th dream, I stopped bringing it up and wrote it off as me being insecure or paranoid. He got home 2 weeks ago, and everything has been so great. He got to meet our baby for the first time. He had left when I was 4 months pregnant and missed the birth, and we've been enjoying being parents together while also rekindling our love for one another. Last night, he decided he wanted to take mushrooms, because one of his buddies had gifted them to him as a welcome home present. He always gets very emotional while tripping, so I was prepared to comfort him while he cried about missing me and the birth of our baby. Once he started to trip, he seemed really off and distant, like he was too much in his own head. Something kept nagging me to casually bring up the cheating dreams again. I made a joke about how he probably had another baby waiting for him in one of the countries he'd been deployed to, and he got really defensive. That's when I knew. I told him I thought he had cheated on me because of his reaction, and he denied it at first. I let it go, but I could tell it was eating him alive. Eventually, he looked at me and just said he was sorry. He said it was a one-time thing, that he regrets it, and that he had wanted to tell me so many times but was worried about my mental health because I had just had a baby. Obviously, I'm devastated and feel extremely betrayed. I have never once thought about being unfaithful to him in the 5 years we've been together. To know that all it took was 2 months into a deployment for him to betray me is soul-crushing. I want to keep our family together because I know he loves our baby, but I don't know how I can even begin to trust him again. I want our child to grow up seeing a healthy, loving relationship. Am I setting myself up for a lifetime of disappointment and heartbreak if I agree to work things out? Or is there some way we can fix this? I just want what's best for my baby. Story 12. My wife was deployed for 7 months and spent the entire time complaining about how her command was hounding her about cheating, but she claimed it was a false accusation. When she got back, she started disappearing for days at a time, claiming she didn't have signal, wasn't paying attention to her phone, and so on. I confronted her about the fact that I thought she was cheating, and she denied it, telling me she didn't have to explain herself. At this point, along with other issues, I told her I was going to file for separation. She proceeded to spend the next week, who knows where, and then went underway with her ship again. I got an email from her the night before they pulled back in, saying how sorry she was and that she wanted to try to fix things. She called me the next day to say she was ready to work on the things I had told her needed to be addressed in order for the separation not to become a divorce. During this conversation, I told her to be honest about what she had been doing and where she had been. At that point, she admitted to having a fling but denied ever being physical. She also claimed that after I confronted her the first time, she felt awful and ended things. I reacted by changing the locks on the house and telling her she is not welcome there right now. I also asked for the name of the person she was involved with and told her that if she didn't give it to me, I would show her command the text messages where she admitted to cheating and let them figure it out. She spent the rest of the day begging me not to tell her command and promising she would do whatever I wanted to try to make things better. There's more to the story after that, but I'm honestly too exhausted to even think about it right now. I'm trying to decide whether this marriage is even worth trying to save, or if I should cut my losses, show her command the messages, let them both lose rank, and divorce her. Story 13. My girlfriend cheated on me while I was on deployment because her friends convinced her that I was cheating on her, based on some pictures I took while out with my friends in a foreign port. The guy she slept with gave her an STD, which I now have, and as far as I can tell, it is permanent. I have separated from the military, and we've been living at my mom's house since I got back from deployment. These past couple of months have been very stressful for both of us, mostly due to the huge life changes, moving across the country, finding new jobs, and just making ends meet in today's economy. Our relationship has been full of arguing and unrest. When I initially found out about the infidelity, she only told me part of the story, that she had gotten cross-fated and the guy had kissed her. About 2 days ago, I confronted her about my suspicions, and she confirmed that they had been intimate. She insists that it was non-consensual, but I'm not sure how to process that because I don't know if she means non-consensual because she was under the influence or if she genuinely did not want to do anything. I don't know what to do. If I kick her out of my house, she will be homeless, and I don't want to break up with her. She has been playing the victim card for a long time with everything that happens, and it really wears me down because most of the problems she faces are caused by her own actions. She has very self-destructive tendencies and often takes out all of her frustration on me. I love her, but I'm so lost, confused, and scared about what to do. She has expressed that she wants to take a romantic break in our relationship, but still wants to get an apartment with me and continue living our lives together. I have caught her lying to me many times, and she always blames it on past trauma. She says she's scared to talk to me or tell me the truth because of an abusive ex she had. I have shown her many times over the years that I am not that kind of person, that I would never hit her, hurt her, or force her to do something she doesn't want to do. We share a lot of similar trauma and mental health struggles, and I just want to help her and be there for her. There is so much more I could say, but I don't know how to put it all into words. She knew how badly cheating has hurt me. I have been cheated on in all of my past relationships. Right before we started dating, it was only a couple of months. After I walked in on my ex-husband sleeping with my best friend in my bed. I don't understand how she could ever think that I would do that to her, or why she would think it was okay to do that to me. Story 14. My mother always told me to trust my gut instinct because it's probably right. I ignored her advice, and now here I am, full of regret and sorrow. I've been with my girlfriend for 3 years. We've always done pretty well together. We've had our fights and disagreements. Hell, we've even split up a time or two in the past, but we'd always come back together like nothing ever happened. Before I deployed for the military, she promised me she'd stay loyal and be there for me when I returned. She even posted on Facebook for everyone to see that she loved me and was anxiously awaiting my return. Looking at her page, she even shared a post that read, "Cheating on a man or woman serving in the military has to be one of the worst things a human can do." So, let's get into what she's actually done. A few weeks ago, she started asking me for more and more money. I'm making a generous amount while I'm here, and she's back at home working part-time hours while going to school and living in my apartment. When she asked for a few $100s, I obliged. She claimed she needed it for food and gas, as well as clothes and supplies for school. My gut told me something was off. She shouldn't need $600 every 2 or 3 weeks. She's survived on much less with the money she earns. Flash forward to today. I found out through a mutual friend of mine who also happens to be a friend of hers that she's been carrying on a secret affair with a friend of mine whom I've known for years. They've been seen in public on dates, shopping together, the whole 9 yards. To top it off, he's been coming over to my apartment and staying with her overnight. I think we can guess what happens there. So, she's been using me for money, probably for her dates with my friend. Undoubtedly, they have also been sleeping together. I've been with this woman for nearly 3 years. I love her with all my heart. My feelings for her are stronger than anything I've ever felt. We've been through thick and thin, lived together, cried together, and bled together, almost literally. And here I am, crying like a child in the middle of a desert, 8,000 miles away from home. Pretty pathetic, yeah. I sent her a message on Facebook confronting her about the affair. She read the message and didn't reply. I know the majority of the advice I'm presumably going to receive is to move on and drop her like a bad habit. I'm sure I will. I just wish it were easy. I don't know where my mind is going to be when I get home from all of this. Small update. After messaging her, telling her that a friend of mine had seen her with my other guy friend at restaurants and shopping, she replied, "Hey baby, why would you think I've been doing all that?" Guy's name. "And I just hang out from time to time. Nothing bad, I promise you. You need to relax. The 2 times he's come over to your apartment, we drank beer and hung out. That's it." Story 15. I cheated on my wife while stationed overseas, and now I don't know how to fix it. I'm not proud of any of this, and I already know I'm going to get destroyed in the comments. That's fine. I just need to say it out loud somewhere because I don't have a single person left to talk to. I've been married to my wife for 10 years. We're stationed at Ramstein right now, and she's 8 months pregnant with our 3rd child. We've been through deployments, PCS moves, births, losses, everything. She gave up her degree and her job to follow me across the world. She's a good woman. She didn't deserve any of this, yet I still cheated. It started with this airman at the med group. She was 23, young, friendly, and she paid attention to me. That's it, that's the truth. At home, everything felt heavy. My wife was exhausted, overwhelmed, emotional, and I was tired of feeling like nothing more than a paycheck with boots. Eventually, I got close to someone who made me feel seen. It started with lunches, then texts, then one night turned into a full-blown affair. I kept telling myself I was going to end it, that I'd come clean, that it was temporary. But then she told me she was pregnant. That blew everything open. I still didn't confess. I just kept trying to hold both worlds together without letting anything crash. It worked for maybe a month. Then my wife found out. Another wife on base saw me with the other woman, took pictures, and sent them to my wife. After that, she went through my phone and found the messages, the photos, everything. My wife kicked me out of housing and completely stopped talking to me. She won't let me see the kids. I don't blame her. What kills me is the look on her face when she handed me the folder with all the proof. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just said, "You're not the man I married. You're not even a man anymore." I deserved it. I broke my family. I hurt a woman who truly loved me, and now I have to live with that. I'm not looking for sympathy. I just needed to finally say it out loud somewhere. If nothing else, let this be a warning. There is no amount of feeling seen that is worth destroying your entire life. Story 16. I'm a 30-year-old female and have been with my husband, 29, since high school. We've been together 14 years and married 11. He's been in the service for 11 years. I've followed him around the country, supporting him through everything. He is a senior officer on a nuclear submarine and has just been caught cheating on me with a subordinate female officer from his boat. When confronted, he claimed he's emotionally involved with her and said, "I'm stupid for not seeing how little he ever cared about me." His job is extremely stressful, so I've always tried to protect him from added stressors. When issues have arisen between us, I always checked in to make sure it wasn't something I did, and he always assured me it was stress from work. He was working 6 to 7 days a week, 16-hour days. Of course, anyone would be depressed. We were set to move again in November. We had plans for the future. He had me enroll in the college where he was supposed to teach. He asked me to have a baby, though now he claims that conversation never actually happened. We had so many plans. Then he sent me 3,200 miles away from home to house hunt for our upcoming PCS move. I landed, checked into my hotel, and immediately started getting notifications on my iPad that my cameras were going off. He had sent me across the country just so he could sneak his female coworker into our marital home and sleep with her the entire time I was gone. Once he was caught, he told me he had basically hated me for years and had only stayed with me out of guilt. He said he was tired of being burdened by staying with me and wanted to live his life. He told me my chronic health problems had always been an issue for him and that he'd been lying to me for years because he didn't want to hurt me. He has said so many cruel things since completely shattering my world, and he has shown no shame or remorse. He even said this wasn't a mistake, that I was the mistake. How do I move forward? He earns about $130,000 a year. I'm lucky to make $10,000, and I have health problems I can't afford to manage on my own or without military insurance. He has essentially left me high and dry and refuses to speak to me civilly. I don't know what to do or where I stand. My family isn't a safe place for me. My mom even tried to murder me. My husband and his family have been all I've had since high school. I thought we had a future together. Now I don't even know what my future looks like, and saying I'm scared is an understatement. Story 17. My friend cheated on her boyfriend while he was deployed. Now they are engaged. Should I tell her fiancé that she was cheating on him up until a week before they got engaged? Names have been changed. Abby, girlfriend; Ben, boyfriend; and Carl, lover. Ben is in the military and was deployed earlier this year for 6 months, scheduled to return home before Thanksgiving. Abby and Ben have been together for 2 years and live together in Ben's house. While Ben was deployed, I found out from Carl, who Abby did not know I was friends with, that Abby and Carl had been dating for 4 out of the 6 months of Ben's deployment. Carl knew about Ben, but Abby lied so extensively that he believed it was her house, that she was kicking Ben out, and that they were no longer in a relationship. Abby and Carl were in a relationship for 4 months. During that time, Abby told Carl that she loved him and no longer loved Ben. She also told Ben that their relationship was over and that he needed to move out when he returned from deployment. Ben came home from his deployment 1 week earlier than originally planned. Abby did not tell Carl. Carl believed Ben would return at the original time and that Abby was kicking him out so she could be with Carl. When Carl and I began piecing together our information, Carl asked Abby not to contact him again because he did not want to be involved in the cheating situation. Abby, now panicking that Ben would discover her relationship with Carl while he was deployed, contacted me to see if I had learned anything and whether I planned to tell Ben. Abby came to my home and lied to me for over an hour and a half about the nature of her relationships with Ben and Carl. After speaking with Carl more following that meeting, I learned that Abby had presented herself as single, claimed the house was hers rather than Ben's, and aggressively pursued a relationship with Carl. This all occurred 1 or 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. On Thanksgiving, Abby contacted Carl saying she missed him, loved him, and wanted to work things out. Carl again asked Abby to leave him alone. 1 week later, Abby and Ben became engaged. It has been a couple of weeks, and every time I talk to Carl, I learn more about the lengths Abby went to both to cheat and to cover it up. I know that Ben does not know about Carl. Should I tell Ben about Carl and Abby's relationship while he was deployed, the lies Abby told about their relationship, and the nasty things she said about her now fiancé? I plan to wait until after Christmas to have this conversation because they are both working from home until the end of the year, and I'm unsure how I would get Ben alone to talk. I am not close with Abby, Ben, or Carl. I'm not worried about losing Abby or Ben as friends, and I respect that Carl no longer wants to be involved. There are many other details about the relationship and the lies Abby told, but the main point is that she cheated. I am unsure whether I should tell Ben or not. Story 18. I'm involved with the wife of someone in the military and I want to get out. Before I start, yes, I know I'm in the wrong, but I am trying to get out of this situation because of how guilty I feel and how wrong it is to continue. A while ago, I unknowingly got into an emotional affair with my best friend. Her husband is 3 states away, going through technical training in the military. I had buried feelings for her and did not intend to connect in this way, but it happened. She had already had an emotional affair and confessed that she was lonely, so I tried to keep her company. Her sisters knew that we had been spending nights together, but at that point, we were not physically involved. Eventually, things began to escalate. She wants to come clean and ask her husband for an open relationship, while still keeping me in her life. I, on the other hand, do not want him to know about this and come after me. I told her that if her husband finds out, he will never let me see her again. She quickly changed her mind and said she wants to keep our meeting secret. We started doing it a little under 2 weeks ago, and it makes me feel guilty. I am not as much of a man as I thought, and I feel no joy from being with a married woman. I want to stop, but I know stopping could lead to her confessing, and then I would have to deal with her husband. I need a way out of this that does not result in her husband beating me up. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.